Hey everyone, and welcome to the Off Ramp. I am your host, Thomas Jason Anderson. Hey, thanks for joining me. I hope everybody had a good weekend. My weekend was fun. I had a little back and forth with some folks in Guyana and in the diaspora leading into today because today was a big day in Guyana, and they have a new opposition leader. So it's official now. They are now moving into their next phase of their government and their new, I guess, type of society now with the oil wealth coming in. So this is big news for them. It's good news. Um, yeah, and then over here in the United States, we've got our Minnesota situation. So which is ironic. It's a big deal. So for everyone who's watching, for those who have been on a few times now, who know pretty much where I'm going with some things, I have some messages for you guys on this Minnesota thing, and maybe it's not so good, but I mean, it is what it is, and so that's what So for people who are new, uh, the off ramp, the whole point of it is to take us away from the narratives that are going on right now in the media space and in social media, and to bring us into a better stable space, an off ramp where we're not in a traffic jam, we're not stuck in endless debate that doesn't have a solution, right? And so we try to go around the traffic jam here. And when it comes to Minnesota, that's a huge traffic jam, and I've written about it. I've had a few episodes now where I've covered it, but for everyone who's watching, take pay close attention to this Minnesota situation and pay the part of it that you should pay close attention to. The key is see what the when you're watching US officials speak about this, try to hear what their mission is in Minnesota. Try to find out like in their minds, what is a successful ending for them where they can disengage and end this thing, because there has to be an ending, right? Now, for me myself, I've been watching and I've been listening, and I haven't heard from anyone like a real ending here that works for everybody. And so in that type of situation, I think, the future that we see here is, they're going to have to bring in, US troops, and they're going to have to go door to door. Like this is going to turn into, if people remember back in the early 2000s, this is going to be like a Fallujah thing where they're going to be coming in door to door, knocking down or blowing up sides of walls of homes to barge in and flashbang people. I mean, this is where we're headed, and we're headed to this place because this isn't about immigration reform anymore. This is really a political fight, and the Republican Party and the Trump people want to bring the Democrats. They want to force them to bend the knee, and they're using Minnesota to do it. And so for them, that for the Republicans, the end of Minnesota for them, where they walk out and they feel like they're satisfied, is probably getting access to everything the state has, all their databases, all their voter rolls, access to their treasury, to give the Trump administration control of the treasury in Minnesota, give them control of the legislature. Um, yeah, basically to hand over Minnesota's sovereignty as a state to Washington, D.C. I think that's the only thing that will satisfy the Republicans at this point, which if you think about that goal, that's pretty much undoable. They have more they'll have more luck getting Canada as a 51st state than they will forcing Minnesota to become a Washington, D.C. puppet job, right? I just don't see it happening. So that's where we're headed on that. And don't be surprised if there's more violence, and don't be surprised if the military goes in. But like I said, you have to pay attention to what these guys are saying is their goal, because right now there is no goal. It's just they want to make sure the Democrats learn their lesson, whatever that is. Who knows what that is, right? So uh this is going to become an endless spiral. It's not going to end by the Republicans getting smart and stepping back from the void here. They only have one way to go. If you look at the Trump administration, if you look at everyone in their political machine, they only have uh, one gear, and it's drive. That's it. They don't have a reverse gear, they don't have a neutral gear, they just have drive. And so they're gonna have to work on this Minnesota thing with a vehicle that only drives forward. That's it. They don't go back and they don't neutral. They only go forward. So this is gonna be a mess. And they're not gonna be stopped, right? Because there's nothing politically to stop them. There's nothing ideologically to stop them, and they don't have a real goal. So this is gonna be an endless type thing. It's gonna go on for the next 3 years of this administration, and I just expect Minnesota to look like a wasteland. Once it's all said and done, it's gonna be like, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't, use things like, some scary devices. It wouldn't surprise me. That's where we're headed. So, on the Republican side, I don't know why they support this. I don't know why they wanna go down this road. I guess they think that the Democrats will step away and they'll just hand over the state of Minnesota to the Republican Party just to take it over. I guess they're thinking that's what they're gonna do, but, they're not gonna do that. So so this is going to be Fallujah. I'm telling you now, we're headed to Fallujah in Minnesota. I don't know how that's good politically, but those guys have a plan, I guess. And so I look at Guyana and I see something a little bit similar actually. So you have so what's happening in Guyana now? So Guyana had an election last year in September, and the government hasn't initiated uh, the assembly properly with an opposition leader. They've been holding off on this for a long time without an explanation, and it's clearly political. It's clearly tied into what's happening with the person who became the opposition leader today, Mr. Azruddin Mohammed, the opposition leader in Guyana. So he's caught up for people who aren't aware of this and who aren't up to speed, especially some of the American viewers. So Azruddin Mohammed, opposition leader Azruddin Mohammed, he was sanctioned by the United States government, OFAC, Treasury Department, with full sanctions on what's called the Global Magnitsky Act sanctions list. And that was done June 11th, 2024. Months later, he announces that he is going to run for president of the country. So that's important in the timeline because a lot of people, his supporters, and even he kind of said it today, he alluded to it, but he wasn't accurate. He's saying that his troubles with the United States he only had problems with the United States once he ran for office. Once he announced he was going to run for president, all of a sudden he got into some trouble. But that's just factually not true. He was in trouble long before he announced he was running for president. And so that went on and got worse because then after the sanctions went into place, he then gets indicted on counts related to smuggling 10,000 kilos of gold using businesses in Miami to do it. It was a very advanced scheme. And so not only was he on sanctions, now him and his father, they're also being indicted in Miami in the Southern District of Florida. And in the midst of all of this, he did not win the election for president, but he did get enough votes so that his party, a new party in Guyana called the Win Party, they were able to get more seats than the traditional opposition at the time, which was the APNU, the PNC. So the Win came in and essentially, so that everyone understands, especially from the American audience, what this situation is a situation where the current opposition leader used to be a high level official within the current government's political party, the PPP. When he got into trouble with the United States for the gold smuggling, him and the other officials in the PPP had a falling out. That falling out led to him running for president. So there really isn't a difference between him and his party and the PPP and the governing party when it comes to ideology, when it comes to political beliefs. They're the same. The difference is they have a problem with each other because the current opposition leader, got in trouble with the United States, and he's upset, and his supporters are upset that only he has gotten in trouble. That no other people in the PPP, high up in the PPP, have gotten in trouble, even though a former minister, May Thomas, was indicted with him within the PPP. So essentially, you had a situation where when this election happened last year, the the candidate Mohammed for president, instead of him taking votes from the PPP, all of his votes he took from the APNU and the PNC, which is the opposition. So now his party, which is the opposition, the leading opposition party, they're there because they took down the former opposition party, who really, you know, and it's wild because the real enemy of this guy is the PPP, supposedly. So we now find ourselves in a situation where the PPP leads the government and the opposition leader is a former PPP member who is angry with them and who has a vendetta and who has issues with the United States that he believes is coming from the PPP government. And so we have basically for all of you Americans, so you understand, right there next to Venezuela, Guyana is next door. Okay. And in this small country, you have a situation where the opposition leader and the leaders within the leading party are having a personal fight. And that personal fight is being fought out within the government space. So this is a huge mess, a massive mess. And it seems to be the only political entity that gets hurt between the fight between the sanctioned individual and the government party is the APNU, the PNC. They're the only guys getting hurt here. The PPP, the government party grows. Win is growing. Everyone's happy there. It's the old opposition party, which was not always the opposition party, but the APNU and the PNC. They're the ones who are getting damaged in all of this, right? So we look forward, and what do we see in Guyana from an American perspective? They're having struggles on their budget. They're having struggles managing the country. They're having to have debates about cash grants, handing out cash grants or not. Ministers are becoming super, super wealthy, which is fine. It's an oil rich country. But the problem is the ministers are becoming wealthy, but the average people are continuing to stay poor. If not, they're becoming poorer. Okay. So there, so there's a lot of inequity going on within their society, within their economy. And this situation now, I believe, only makes it worse because it brings out the worst in both sides, the opposition and the leading party. And so what's going to happen here, I believe, is both the opposition leader and the government party, in order for them to distract from problems that they have, the government party is going to blame the opposition leader. In order for the opposition leader to get out from under that blame, he's going to have to attack the APNU and the PNC to get political wins so that he can show his people he's getting things done because he can't beat the governing party, the PPP, politically. He cannot beat them. So the only place he's going to find victories is by more and more beating up on the APNU and the PNC, is how I see it, which will cause more and more inequity in the country and which will cause more and more chaos. So I don't know if that will happen, but just from my perspective, looking at the situation, it looks like more rough times for the APNU and the PNC, and the fight between the PPP and the Win Party is going to result in a lot of chaos in the country, and they're all going to be pointing fingers. That's what's going to happen. They're all going to be pointing fingers, and no one's going to take responsibility because they're going to be too busy fighting amongst each other. Okay, that's it. And so in this fight, it's guaranteed that they're going to bring outside entities. So foreign nations will be involved now more heavily in Guyana to help support the opposition leader, for example. He's going to want to try to bring the Brits into things. He's going to want to try to bring in the Canadians into things. And the Brits and the Canadians may not have the same interest that, let's say, the United States has or that, let's say, ExxonMobil has, right? So all of these international competitions now are going to be waged in Guyana between the opposition leader and the ruling party. And to me, I think all that's going to do is hurt the people of Guyana. I don't see any progress happening in that. So when I say that I say pray for Guyana, this is what I'm saying to pray for the people who are out there who are the prayer warriors. What you're praying for is is for peace and not to have chaos, and for these two sides not to be fighting each other, that they put their fight aside for a while to stabilize the country, that they put the country first, not the fight between each other. That should be the prayer, guys. That's what you need to gotta that's what you gotta focus on. You gotta and people in Guyana, you have to make your elected officials understand that you guys are more important than their own personal fights. That's the key, because that's gonna be the problem here. I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen, but this is what people need to be on guard for, is these guys putting their personal issues above what the country needs. I could be wrong. Maybe some people want to criticize, but that's what I see right now. And so, from the American side, I believe the investigation is going to continue into the Mohammeds, and it could spread into other people within the PPP as well. I don't put that beyond possibility, actually. So, like I say, there could be more chaos coming here, but the key is I think everyone, all the prayer warriors out there, everyone who cares about Guyana, I think everyone should be focused on making sure these guys put the country above their own personal vendettas, their own personal beefs that they have between each other, because I think that's the issue of the day, and that's what needs to be done away with for the people of Guyana, in my opinion. With that said, guys, have a great day. Thank you for joining again. Hey, if you enjoy this, please subscribe. If you have any questions, I am available. Please ask. And also on topics, if anybody has any topics you want me to cover, please let me know. Communicate. I'm here for it. So thanks again. I'm Thomas Jason Anderson, your host. This is Off Ramp Politics. I will talk to you guys later. Take care.
Now I'ma put it down like that. I'm leaving, I ain't coming back. You don't like the way I act anyway. You really don't have to react. Don't try to change my mind, in fact. Honey, I've already packed all my stuff. We're no longer kids, let's move on. And you are not my kid, so I'm done. Please don't make me pull my gun. Sorry boy, I can't be the one. You know it, yeah. Nothing lasts forever. You know that a change will make it better. You know that nothing lasts forever. You know that, yeah, a change will make it better. There's no one to blame, you see. Maybe we're not meant to be. There are plenty more fish in the sea anyway. Every day's a different thing, so I'm not into wedding rings. It ain't personal, it's the way I think. Yeah. You know it, nothing lasts forever, and you know